What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. I am the Poetic Killer, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Capricorn. So, we're starting off with now we're in the Earth series, and we're doing Cardinal Earth. So, we're starting off with Capricorn. Now, Capricorn is ruled by the 10th house, it has the modality of the 10th house, right? Season wise, astronomy wise, that would be the beginning of winter time. Whereas in astrology, that is the cardinal, the beginning of um Earth, cardinal Earth. So as cardinal Earth, that is the energy of initiating some form of stability, whatever that is. There's always some form of stability that's been initiated by that Capricorn energy. It's ruled by the planet Saturn, right? While Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, but is co-ruled by Uranus. Just like Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Pisces is ruled by Jupiter and co-ruled by Neptune, and Aries is ruled by Mars, whereas Scorpio is ruled by Mars and co-ruled by Pluto. So that's the Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune energy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and their energies it adds a different modality to it. So whereas like in Aries, it's ruled by Mars, but Scorpio is ruled by Mars, but has Pluto. So you'll be passionate, aka Mars, Martian, Aries, but in a unseen way. You know what I mean? Pluto. It's below the horizon, it's unseen. So your passion is unseen. So Scorpios might hide their passion, what they're passionate about, and do it behind closed doors compared to Aries. Aries is just the vision of passion. Scorpio is co-ruled by Pluto, so it's unseen passion. You know what I'm saying? It's always behind closed doors. It's always unseen. It's not in your face. You know what I mean? But it still comes off as passion. And then you got like Jupiter, expansion, being able to expand, whether physically or internally. You know what I mean? Physically traveling a lot of places, internally, mentally traveling to a lot of places and different ideas and different imaginations. But then you got Pisces, which is co-ruled by Neptune, right? And by co-ruled by Neptune, that adds a little bit more mystic to it, a little bit more imagination. You know what I mean? It adds more vivid colors to it. It's not just dry teaching. You're not just teaching. You're adding more, you know, Neptunian energy, more dreamy energy. So you're more how would I say? You're more elaborate when it comes to your imagination. It's more out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's more graceful. And then you got Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, which is all based on structure, right? Capricorn. And then you got Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn but co-ruled by Uranus. And Uranus has to do with transformation in terms of rapid transformation. You know what I'm saying? Being able to destroy a former status to rebuild it into something new. That's what it does. Aquarius destroys that status and rebuilds it and replaces it with a different form of status. It likes to break down and rebuild. Whereas Capricorn just likes to build and keep it like that. You know what I mean? And then you got the Aquarius that destroys that and rebuilds it into something new. Um, and then so yeah, we're talking about Capricorn. It's ruled by Saturn. Saturn, the modality of Saturn is um cardinal structure. So initiating the structure. So Capricorns will be the people that might be like, yo, I got this business idea or this business plan. Let's implement it. Whereas the Aquarius will be the one that gathers all the people for that plan, for that structure, right? And then you got what's it called? Yeah, that's how it'll go. Because the Aquarius is more of like the Saturn, but it's air, it's fixated air. Whereas Capricorn is cardinal Earth. You know what I'm saying? So you got cardinal Earth, which will be Capricorn initiating the business plan. Um, and then you got like Taurus, which will be the fixated Earth, which will be upholding that plan, actually being concentrated and actually working on that plan. and they're very consistent in that area because they're fixed earth, so they're fixated on their stability. That's what they're always fixated on, whatever makes them comfortable. And then you got mutable earth, Virgo, which is more like, I guess it's like the manager. It's overseeing everything and seeing, okay, this is what needs to be fixed and this is what needs to stay. You know what I mean? This is the plan and this is how it needs to be put in implemented. So sometimes Virgo does both things at once. That's why they get tired a lot of times because they're initiating and also working on it. Like Taurus, they're doing both at the same time. Same thing with Sagittarius. That's why Sagittarius always have to have their own time to recharge. Once they're interacting with people, they need their own time to recharge and do their own thing because they're initiating some form of energy, fire, and they're also fixated on that energy. They can also act within that energy that they initiate, but eventually they need time for themselves to know who they are because they're mutable. So they like to go up and down. They have both aspects within themselves. Um, Same thing with Virgo. Virgo knows how to initiate something too, and also be fixated on that initiation or that status that they created in their mind. That's why sometimes it's Virgos need that other half of themselves, which is the Pisces energy, to be able to actually go back into the dream world and relax. Go into your subconscious world and relax, aka when you're sleeping. They need to sleep under responsibility sometimes so that they can relax because sometimes they're too fixated on their responsibilities and their status. Um, so yeah, Capricorn's 10th house. It is the beginning of winter time. Um, and the energy of that is, yeah, cardinal initiating some form of status. So that is how you like to see yourself. You like to see yourself as the boss of what you're doing. You like because you created the idea. So by you creating the idea, automatically you're the boss of that. You know what I mean? So that's why Capricorns can, if they're in their right modality, they can have that boss like mentality. So yeah, that's very important when it comes to Capricorns because they're ruled by Saturn. Also, sometimes they might be limited in their perception of ideas because they like to be realistic. They're not really like Sagittarius, who is optimistic. You know what I'm saying? They're more optimistic, but Saturn likes to be grounded. They like to be realistic. They like to deal with what makes sense and what is practical. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes they might not even pay attention to any form of, I wouldn't say spirituality, but any form of out of the box thinking because they feel like that is too chaotic for them. So they like something that is more structured, that is more routine and pattern, that they know they can rely on. They like things they can rely on. Sagittarius energy. Yes, you can rely on them as friends, of course, but like when it comes to the way they live their life and the way they express themselves and the way they like to initiate their energy within the world, they like to do it more um in as just as the time it comes. They like to go with the vibe. That's a Sagittarius probably came up with that statement. Just go with the vibe. Because one day they might feel this, oh yeah, I want to do this. The other day they might want to do something else. They might feel this way and express this, and then another day they might not express that. But they like the freedom to be able to do that. That's what makes them feel happy inside because they have the freedom and the space to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it. Whereas Capricorn likes to see, okay, this is my plan, this is this and that. And this is how I'm gonna structure it. This is how I'm gonna create the structure. So they create the structure. Like they'll be like, okay, you need to be here, you need to be here. They're like the boss, the manager, right? Or I would say the CEO, sorry, the CEO. They're like Capricorn's more like the CEO. So they're like, okay, I got this you know, pyramid structure of things and how it's going to go down, right? Because everything's like that. It goes up and down. So as I've got this pyramid structure of how things are going to go up and down, I need people to work. So the workers will be Taurus. That will be the workers. They'll be like, all right, Taurus, you're going to go to work. Because the Capricorn's like, all right, I already got this plan. This is how it's going to go down and boom, 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 boom. And they're going to show you like the payment plan and everyone's going to be like, all right, okay, we're down with that. Then Taurus is going to be like, yo, I'm down to work and you already see the plan. I'm willing to do that. You know what I mean? It's like skyscrapers. There's CEOs and architects that come up with those ideas. The architects come up with how the building it should be structured, and then the tourists will be the people that actually climb up to these mountains and actually do all these things and actually work on those things. With the Capricorns, and then the Virgos will be more like the manager, just watching over these things and making sure everything's going into plan. Because sometimes the Capricorn might not be there in the office to make sure everything. They just came up with the idea. They're relying on the Taurus to be working on that, you know what I mean? And then the Virgo to actually manage that and make sure everything is in place. And whenever something's not in place, they will notice that. That's why Virgos are very nitpicky, because they always notice when things are not in place. They like things to be in place and like things to be. They're like they're pretty much like the program. You know what I'm saying? They're like the program, and they know that the program has to be in a certain form of cycle. And once that cycle is, or that shape is like out of place, they'll notice it straight away, and that's where their nerves or like their yeah, which has to do with their nerves, will will give like a little signal to be like, okay, something's not right now, something's out of place. You know what I'm saying? That's why Virgos are very well observant of their surroundings, because their nerves is like that. It's always noticing different patterns, and once the pattern is out of place, it gives like a little signal within themselves. Sometimes they overgo over overdwell in their anxiety, which can create anxiety, overdwell in their nervous system, which then creates anxiety. But if they can know how to tune that and use that Piscean energy to relax and calm down and have some faith, in something um, deep, you know what I mean, within themselves, then things will start to make sense for them, and they won't have to always be nerve wrecking all the time. Um, But yeah, we're talking about Capricorn. But Capricorn, they usually come up with a plan. They're like, okay, I got this business plan, but I need employees. That will be the Taurus, and then Virgos will be the managers, overseeing everything and making sure everything's all good when the Capricorn's not there. When the Capricorn is like at the golf course, enjoying their success. They'll be at the golf course enjoying their success, and then the Virgos are the managers, making sure everything's in place, and then the Taurus are the ones putting in the work. You know what I mean? And that's how it works with the Earth signs. But yeah, ruled by the 10th house, Saturn energy is learning some form of restriction or some form of, I guess, discipline. That's what Saturn teaches. It takes That's why the Saturn cycle within astrology is 30 years. It's a disciplined cycle. And once you learn and master your Saturn cycle, when you get to your Saturn return, everything will start to make sense within your life. Sometimes, let's say if you have a retrograde within your Saturn return, that means there's something that you have to go back within, either at your childhood or something that came with you from your previous lifetime to this lifetime, that you have to repeat again and deal with. And once you have dealt with that situation, then your Saturn return will come, and it would all make sense. The cycle, you know what I mean? Because this realm is like that. This geographical location is like that. It's like a Saturn energy. So it's a Saturnian energy. So once you get that 30-year cycle, that's when you actually become, like, it's like you're actually that's when you've expanded like your soul is expanded. You know what I'm saying? It's really based on your Saturn cycle. I know a lot of people say their Jupiter cycle is also based on your experience also, and you can read someone's Jupiter cycle to see their life and how long they'll live within their lifetime. But I also think Saturn, like whatever your placement is very important. So if you have a slow, because Saturn's very slow moving, you know what I'm saying? So it depends what you have there. But I digress. But yeah, Saturn's all about structure, coming up with a business plan and implementing that. And Capricorns do well in things where they're coming up, where they're entrepreneurs also, because they'll do well in entrepreneurship jobs, because they have good business plans. They might not know how to implement it, but they have good business plans. They just need people. And once they can have people around them to come together to do that, they can really bring something really great into this world. So yeah, there's a Capricorns in terms of relationship. They will do well with Tauruses because Tauruses are fixate Earth, so they'll be good because they're both grounded. So I think they'll do well with Taurus. Um, they might do well with Libras also, I believe, because Libra got that. Libra has like the Venus energy, but it's more of like a. I feel like Saturn will do well in that type of energy because it's more of like a repeated cycle of Venus energy. Libras will do well because they know how to. It's just sometimes Capricorn might misuse Libras sometimes. I feel like because of Libra's fair, balanced nature, they like to give sometimes, or like they like to make things balanced. So because Capricorn's cardinal Earth, they might utilize Libras to do a lot of their work more than they should. So yeah, that one's a bit tricky. But I think Taurus is the best for Capricorns, honestly, in terms of relationship. Um, yeah, trying to think who else would be good with Capricorns. I don't think any other cardinal signs. I don't think cardinal signs are good for each other. Like an Aries should not be with a Capricorn. A Capricorn should not be with a Cancer because actually it depends. If it's a mature Capricorn, they can be with a Cancer. If they But it would have to be the man would have to be the Capricorn and the female would have to be the Cancer. I don't think if it was the other way around, it would really work. It would just be too much of an ego clash. In terms of like let's say with Aries and Libra, I would say the guy would have to be the Aries and the woman would have to be the Libra. Because if the woman's the Aries and the guy's the Libra, I feel like the woman will be more dominant. And the guy might be like, yeah, he can be fair and balanced, and she might need that. But if the woman's already fiery, she's gonna need someone that can absorb that. And yeah, Libra can do that, but it would have to be a very stern Libra though. You wouldn't want an Aries woman just. But yeah, that's a different story. But yeah, guys, hope you guys gained something new from that video. And next video we'll be talking about Taurus. So until next time, I'll catch you soon.